The living think they're safe. But today, one morning would prove that wrong. One single mistake changes everything. And trust me, you're going to want to see how it unfolds. July 7th, 1967, in Brooklyn, New York. And a girl named Nancy McHuan is about to have a day she will never finish. Little did anyone know, something impossible was about to happen. Nancy was 17, driving her brand new yellow Camaro. Her dad just got it for her and she loved it. Yeah, that shiny yellow car that makes everyone jealous. She was heading to her dad's office in Brooklyn, coming from Long Island. The commute? About an hour, but Nancy didn't care. She rolled down her window, let the ocean breeze hit her face, took a deep breath and smiled. Sounds perfect, right? Well, not for long. A few cars behind her, a police lieutenant noticed something odd. Nancy's Camaro swerved sharply. Oncoming cars barely avoided hitting her. Then, a crash. The car slammed into a tree. Wait, what just happened? The lieutenant didn't hesitate. Brakes screeched. He jumped out, ran over, expecting maybe a seizure, maybe a fainting spell. But what he found, Nancy, barely moving, moaning as if hurt, but no visible injuries. "Are you okay?" he asked. No answer. Just another soft moan. He checked the car. No bottles, no smell of alcohol. Nothing. Nancy wasn't drunk. She wasn't sick. Minutes later, the sirens arrived. Paramedics swarmed, lifting Nancy onto a stretcher, sliding her into the ambulance. She didn't respond, didn't fight, didn't cry. She just moaned. And as the doors shut and the ambulance sped away, the lieutenant couldn't shake it. Something wasn't right. And that's when you start wondering, how does this even happen? At the hospital, the scene didn't get any easier. Doctors and nurses rushed around her, poking, prodding. Nothing. No broken bones, no blood. Just a teenage girl, pale and unresponsive, letting the world pass around her like a ghost. Shots of adrenaline, monitors, CPR. Nothing worked. By 11:30 a.m., roughly 2.5 hours after the crash, Nancy was gone. Just like that. And then, someone noticed it. Something small, hidden beneath her hair. A tiny circular hole. A bullet. Silent. Invisible. No clue anyone had been shot. All this time, everyone thought it was the crash or a medical emergency. But no, someone had fired a gun. Yet, the question lingered. Who and why? Detective Albert Seidman arrived shortly after, standing over the Camaro, sharp. Non-nonsense, the kind of man who makes criminals sweat just by looking at them. He scanned the scene. Wreckage, highway, devastated parents asking the questions no one could answer. Seidman didn't waste time with feelings. He started where every good detective does. The car, surprisingly intact. Aside from the tree damage, nothing inside screamed killer at work. Seidman frowned. Nothing made sense. He spoke with Nancy's parents, devastated, confused. They said she'd never been in trouble, no enemies, no reason anyone would want her dead. Seidman nodded. Nope, this was not your average case. He interviewed the lieutenant. Did he hear gunshots? Anyone else in the car? Anyone run from the scene? Absolutely not. The whole thing baffling. Seidman and his team scoured the highway, searching for shell casings, clues. Hours passed, nothing, zero, nada. And yet, one clue would finally change everything. By the end of the day, frustration was building. Hundreds of eyes, hundreds of questions, and still nothing. Just a teenage girl dead in a highway that had swallowed every trace. But Seidman, he didn't give up. Not now. Not ever. First round of interviews hit dead ends. Hundreds of people questioned. Hundreds of tips. Nothing. But detectives like Seidman, They rethink the map, every angle, every witness, every tiny detail others might overlook. He circled key spots on a Brooklyn map, streets where someone might have seen or heard something important. His team went back, knocking on doors, asking the questions they might have skipped before. And that's when they found it, the gas station, just 2 blocks from where Nancy had been shot. Theodore knew the family, knew Nancy, had been watching the case, worried, hoping someone would figure it out. Questions straightforward. Theodore answered. Didn't see anything. Or did he? He thought back. Hours blurred, calm waters, sun shining. Then he remembered the can, the rifle, the shot. Something ricocheted, gone wrong. Could it have hit Nancy? Every word hung in the air, every pause heavy. Seidman leaned in, waiting, knowing pieces were about to fall together. It all clicked. Theodore thought he'd been fishing, enjoying the morning, harmless. Or so he thought. A rifle, a missed shot. The bullet hit the water, bounced, and somehow impossibly traveled upward, right at the highway, right at Nancy. Seidman listened as Theodore realized what had happened. No malice, no intent, just a freak accident. One of those, you wouldn't believe it if you didn't see it happen deals. But the evidence didn't lie. That ricochet struck Nancy in the back of the head as she rolled down her window, turning a perfect morning into a nightmare. Theodore didn't hide, didn't lie. A tragedy no one could predict, no one could stop, yet someone had to pay. Courts waited. Accident, lack of intent, impossible foreseeability. No jail time, just a $100 fine for a life gone. I'm curious about what you humans think about this sentence. Fair or not? Let me know in the comments. Brooklyn moved on as Brooklyn always does. Highway still busy, sun still rose, waves still crashed, and somewhere people still drove by that spot, unaware the day fate or physics turned a summer morning into a nightmare. And that's life, isn't it? Sometimes it isn't cruel on purpose. Sometimes it just happens. Random, terrifying, unforgettable. So next time you roll down your window, remember Nancy McHuan. One ricochet, one tiny mistake, and nothing is ever the same again. And that, dear mortals, is how a quiet morning in Brooklyn became one of those stories you don't forget. If your bones are tingling yet, do me a favor, like, subscribe, and keep your curiosity alive. There are plenty more foolish mortals, strange happenings, and dark little truths waiting for you right here. I'll see you in the shadows.